Hi, Dr. Rudy Kachmann today on our diabetes show, and I have with me a guest, William Steele, who's a patient, a friend, and I'm trying to teach him how to get rid of his diabetes, which we confirmed on a test, Bill, right?
Yes, sir.
And we went to any lab tests and had tests done, and it is not advanced, but he's got diabetes. So tell me, and I've been teaching him to largely to follow the Susan Ryan book, Simply Keto, which I want to hold up to you. What I like about her book is that she explains keto very well, and then she has copies of the recipes and tells you exactly the carbohydrates, the fats, everything in there, in pictures, so you know the amount that you're eating. And she has breakfast, lunch, and dinner, although I have been trying to teach Bill just to eat 2 meals a day, because that's the quickest way. You want to get rid of your diabetes, 2 meals a day. It's what I eat, and it's simple.
Right.
Frankly, are you doing the 2 meals a day?
I haven't been able to get the 2 yet, but I'm thinking probably this is the week. I think I'm in week 2.5 or 3 right now, so
Yeah.
I can give that a try.
Yeah, I that would make it a lot quicker if you do what's called fasting 16-8. You
Right.
don't, for 16 hours, you don't eat 8 hours. You eat, and what's nice about that, in that period of time, and that's those 16 hours, is your body is undergoing autophagia. It's repairing itself, getting rid of bad cells, building new cells, and you go into ketone. Ketones are fat molecules that are very good for you. You're getting thinner, and it's really, I think, a real good way. What I'm trying to teach the audience here, and Bill is learning. We're giving him a few months, and we're going to recheck his blood work in October, and we'll see if he's been doing what we're asking. So tell us a little bit about your experience. Do you think you'll be able to do the ketone way, even if you eat 3 meals? But I'd like you to do 2 because it'll be quicker. But do you think you'll be able to do that eventually? Because I want you to get rid of diabetes. Don't accept the drugs and pills that they're giving you. You can get away from all of them, save a lot of money, be a lot healthier. This is a foodable disease. It's not a druggable disease. And 80-90% of the people in the United States, especially this county, got diabetes. Oh, I'm not diabetic, but you got to check their blood work, and serum insulins catch 10 to 20 years before the blood sugar ever goes up.
Right.
They don't tell you that industry has got you surrounded. And I wrote this book here, Prevention is the Cure, Prevention, and we can get rid of it. Prevention and reversal. You can get rid of type 2 diabetes, 6 weeks. We'll find out, Bill. But a lot of people don't want to change. So they're going to die 20 years younger, and they're going to have abnormal diseases, have amputations, eye problems, increased rates of cancer. All that can be avoided. That's the reason, and I have it really, what I recommend, and I want people to, and this describes the food pyramid. See if you can get a copy from me somehow. And about what it's saying on here, Rudy's Keto 16-8, is that you want to eat, you got to know the difference between good fats and bad fats. Guacamole would be a good fat. I had guacamole today for lunch. And I had an egg with it and a piece of bacon. And I was full. what did I weigh this morning? 132 pounds. I don't have any disease, but I do think I should demonstrate what I'm teaching you. I want you to live to be 100, but I want you to be healthy. I don't want. What's the sense of living that long if you're unhealthy? And and these are the diseases we want to avoid. So tell us a little bit about your experience. No, doc, I can't do this, or I'm slowly going to get to it. Because what do you think?
I'm introducing my body to it slowly. I'm grateful that I met you right after I nearly died in the hospital, as you know.
Yeah.
A producer that we both work with introduced us, and Rudy, for this audience, Rudy introduced me to this keto diet, and I tell you what, for the first day when I tried to do, the 16-8 and wait a long time to eat, I was shaking like a leaf. I felt terrible. Literally by the second day, I was over that already, and so now I feel more energy by taking that big gap of time somehow, rather than, how when you eat a heavy breakfast, you kind of feel sluggish. You have to counter that with some coffee or something.
Yeah.
I don't feel that anymore. I feel energy. Also, I've been on, I think I'm going into my third week. I've had to go down a belt size. Mm-hmm. My ring is now loose.
Yeah.
So, and I believe it's 11 or 12 pounds that I've lost since we started this, which is pretty good for that short amount of time.
Yeah, but food is addictive. Sugar is addictive. And
yes, sir.
For some people, it's difficult to get over. How did I ever? I'm a neurosurgeon I'm not anymore, but I was a neurosurgeon for 44 years. How did I ever get involved with this? Is reading, is looking at patients, and I realized when they came in to get their spine operated on or brain tumor or whatever, that a lot of them had metabolic diseases from eating the wrong food. They were overweight. They had diabetes, and they thought their neck pain was more of a problem than their metabolic disease, which is wrong. If you get diabetes, 50 diseases that occur from that, including dementia and visual problems, thyroid disease. You just grab their chest, 50% will die at a young age. All that is avoidable. 5 or 6 cancers are related to sugar. Dementia is related to sugar because it's related to insulin resistance. 80% of the memory loss problems, skin disease, acne, joint disease, kidney disease, and heart disease are interrelated. 90% of heart disease is due to being diabetic. They may say, I wasn't diabetic. Well, they ran the wrong test. Insulin testing needs to be done. In this book, which I wrote here, Prevention is the Cure, we're letting people have these diseases. Public health is not doing its job. What's the last time you heard of public health knowledge? Never heard them call me up and say, Rudy, I'd like to be in your show.
Absolutely, Rudy.
Call me up and sit next to me and say, I agree, or I disagree. I've been doing this show 13 years and never had public health show up. And the head of public health of our county right now, it belongs to one of the hospitals. So what do you think he's going to teach them?
Right.
And I don't see him in the paper. And sugar industry, they pay millions of dollars to the government so that we don't tell people the truth about sugar. Processed food is sugary foods. House and Senate lobbyists, they've all been given money. Poor nutrition teaching is done at the school level. I look through the internet, you can easily do it. I looked at the school lunch program, which has been in place since 1970s. Yes, the government established it. And if you would, they had cinnamon buns for breakfast, and they're, of course, the kids are going to be sick. Time they finish high school, I bet the diabetic rate's huge. But the pediatricians are checking their serum insulin. They check the HbA1c, which may be elevated, and they can do something about it. And if the kids are significantly overweight, they're probably diabetic. A few are not. Some are thin and are diabetic anyway. we did the right blood test. So we do poor nutrition teaching in the schools. They used to teach kids dental care, how to brush their teeth, for example. Be honest with you, Bill, I could look in a person's mouth and tell what illnesses you got just by looking at their teeth. Yes, it's huge, because those bacteria that sit in the teeth, which come from your gut, determine the diseases that you got. So teeth are important. Teach your child to brush their teeth starting at a very young age.
And floss.
Even before they have their permanent teeth. I didn't learn that myself. And I lost some teeth, but I learned it in college. Would you believe it? I learned to brush my teeth in college. It's the way it is. But now it's twice a day, and I floss and I gargle, and I have no dental problems. So we have poor nutrition teaching, processed food industry, where they strip the bran off and the germ off the vegetables we're eating, and we're eating sugary products. And the nation is going like this. And it's all over the world, though. I'm helping people from the country of China right now, because you can go YouTube Rudy Kachmann, Facebook Rudy Kachmann, Amazon Rudy Kachmann, and there'll be 1,000 TV shows on there on health. India found out about it, and they looked me up. They want to use that information because they have so many diabetics in their country. Their country is going like this, and huge rates of diabetes. But I'm helping them through the internet. I'm going to start podcasting, which I've learning a lot about, and do podcasts too. I find out that the podcast that they seem to pay most attention to is 1 minute long. That's what I found out the other day. Yeah, so
public service.
We're going to start doing these shows there also, 1 minute ones. I've done one actually, but I need to do it regularly.
May I add something?
Yeah.
Along what you said about the medical and pharmaceutical industry does not want you to know about this.
Yes.
I recommend this book. Rudy turned me on to it, as well as his book, For Prevention is the Cure. This is a keto dieting book. It's called Simply Keto, Suzanne Ryan. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they don't want you to know because they're selling medication to deal with this. And so they don't steer you to these things that can cure you. Now, my doctors always knew that I was living off of pizza and Doritos and lasagna and Italian food and all kinds of pastas, and I was getting a broken ankle, and I was getting bigger and bigger, and they're like, soon you're going to have to take medication for diabetes. Why didn't they tell me just eat healthier, eat keto, and you can reverse what's already been, the damage that's already occurring? You know,
when you say, Bill, it's confirming, you know, what I've been saying.
Right.
It's not taught to the medical students.
Exactly.
That I know, because I've been with this book to the dean of the medical school, and you know what they say? Rudy, keep on doing what you're doing. And they told me they get their information, what national teachers they teach. But I tell you, I think, and I think it's true, that even the medical schools get tremendous contributions from the processed food and the pharmaceutical industry, I think. So if one of them is watching this, I'd like to know that for certain. I know they do nationally, because the magazines have advertisements in them. They're all paid for, pharmaceutical companies. And they used to, they kind of stopped that a little bit, or at least it's limited a little bit. But these pharmaceutical companies would make calls in my office all the time, and they actually send some girls that were so pretty. There's no way, you know, I still got hormones left. And but I will admit, I didn't fall for that stuff. Especially they were selling narcotics, OxyContin, and those drugs. Yeah. I wrote books about it. I didn't fall for.
A lot of doctors got in trouble.
I didn't fall for that either, and they're still selling, because I know a friend who went to the emergency room of the hospitals here recently, and the drug they wanted her to take for 2 weeks was OxyContin. I couldn't believe it. Here is a very book too. You can get this on the internet here. And this is really keto. the best
The
best
complete,
you can
the
be,
complete,
2023.
Yep.
I think I picked it up at a supermarket or a drugstore.
Yep.
You can buy it, a complete keto guide. I read the whole thing, and it's really good pictures, good recipes,
Yep.
explains things well. Most of the time, sometimes they'll sell foods and they'll decorate it with keto, and it's not really keto. But there's a very explanatory. So to read the Simply Keto, to read my book, to read this, you're going to be on the path. I mean, what am I really recommending is to eat 60-70% good fats, 20% protein. Oh my God! People will say the protein diet, that's the way to go. Let me tell you some physiology here. Your body recycles 80% of the amino acids and proteins you need in your body, from playing pickleball or walking or whatever you dancing, whatever you did that day. Muscles break down, and they're broken down into amino acids, about 20 of them, and then they can be used over again to build another muscle. Okay, so 80% of the protein is recycled. You only take in the 20% essential amino acids, 20%. Okay, you eat some eggs, so you get them right there. Right. Eggs are good for you. Sugar is what's bad for you. And so you have these muscle builders and athletes who are taking supplements and eating steaks 3 times a day, 7 days a week. You know what the body does with the extra protein? You don't need it. 80% is recycled. You know what the body does? Turns it to sugar.
Oh, wow.
Yes, turns it into sugar. So a lot of people don't know that. So I like 60-70% fat. Protein only about 25%. But I didn't say you had to be totally vegetarian. Remember, they get lectins in them, proteins that your gut buddies don't like, and they make holes in your gut, and that's not good for you. Yeah, and fruit and berries, 15%. Yeah, so this all vegetarian thing. A good book to read on that too is by Gundry, who was a heart surgeon in Loma Linda, and after years of heart transplants, and obviously, I mean, he certainly did great stuff, very experienced. So then he wrote a lot of books, but then he found out that too complicated for the average person. So then he wrote The Plant Paradox, quick and easy. I highly recommend this book. I'm being a doctor, I could, read the other books too, but this is easier, quicker, and the 30-day plan to lose weight, feel great, and live lectin-free. Lectins are proteins that are in vegetables. All wheat, for example, beans are full of lectins, and these proteins can do havoc to you. And every food, grown food, has some lectins in it. Actually, the original plants, before animals, nothing but plants on this earth. But then the plants develop chemicals to fight off their enemies. Plants get animals too, enemies too. Other people want to eat them, and so a lot of plants have chemicals in them to ward off the enemy. Lectins was one of them. But then we hit the Ice Age, and those plants all died. We don't have them anymore, so now we get different plants, and so he describes about lectins. So to be totally vegetarian, like Mayor Adams in New York City prescribed for the city this lunch program: free breakfast, free lunch, free dinner. Even wrote a book because he had diabetes himself. He got over it by gaining some knowledge, and he is a lot healthier. Great mayor. I like Eric Adams. But if you read his book, he says all fats are bad. Well, he's wrong. Okay, but everything I say you may not like either. And so a good book to read, though. So what I'm and Gundry is saying you can eat plants, okay, but avoid the lectins, and he describes it real well in there, in a good book. And he speaks about sweeteners and stevia and some of these things. I don't recommend that. I have a book at home, matter of fact. All these things you can take, sugar substitutes, are not good for you because they re-educate your gut buddies, they re-educate your brain, and you're going to think, I got to eat something sweeter. So when I see in Susan Ryan's book here, occasionally, not all of them, but some recipes have not stevia, but one of those sweeteners. Don't put it in there. I found people, they don't even see the difference, but don't put that in there.
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
As far as the good fats, you mentioned to me ghee, butter, and I'll tell you a story about that. What's the significance of ghee butter?
Well, like I said, when I do 16-8 fasting,
right,
I can do it, but some people have a little hard time, a little bit with it. The appetite is still up. So to put in some tablespoonful of ghee butter in their coffee, maybe less, that gets you to tolerate that time you're fasting better. But as you mentioned to me, it costs a little bit of money too. So, but I don't use anything. I use black coffee.
It was funny because my mother-in-law, you met Diane. We bought it the other day. It was like $11 for a jar, just very quickly. So I opened it up to put it in my coffee yesterday, and it was half gone. I said, Diane, where's the ghee butter that Rudy suggested I get to put in the coffee? She said, I buttered all our toast with it.
Well, I'm glad you have a sense of humor, but the easiest way. How did I get onto this to begin with years ago? You can see him on YouTube, Joseph Kraft. This is the Bible of what really I'm talking about. Never have met a doctor who ever read this, ever. I'm
sitting next to one.
The medical school should be having every medical student read this. And diabetes epidemic in you. Should everyone be tested? Absolutely not. Only those concerned about their future. You can see him on YouTube. He's died since that time, by the way, he's 96. And he says on his show, he says, I'll be looking down upon you for many decades before the industry stops surrounding the patient and we start teaching people to do some serum insulin testing.
Right.
And he did detailed studies. He was a pathologist. Autopsies, a wonderful book to read. Being a doctor, you can read in one night. Maybe being a non-doctor, it's 2 or 3 nights. A wonderful book. I don't think you can buy them online anymore, which I don't understand. But maybe you can, but you can get the Kindle part, read it, or go to the library, they'll still have it. This to me is the Bible of what we're doing.
The foundation of all this.
There, Mark Hyman, for example, got onto this also, and you can go online, and Mark Hyman will send you about 50 pages recommending this type of testing also, and other recommendations. At least he did, that I got a copy. I don't know whether it's still available, but Mark Hyman has this in his books. This is not something just I'm doing. There are people in other parts of the country that are doing this, but personally, I think we should be doing serum insulin testing starting age 2 or 3. Then we'd catch people on the road to diabetes, and we can change their way of eating and say, lose 2 pounds and you'll live to be 100 and be healthy and play pickleball with me. Okay. But we have so many metabolically sick children today because I personally don't think the pediatricians have stepped up to bat and prevented disease. They're just treating disease. What does insulin do? It stuffs sugar into the cell, and the cell gets fat, and what do you think happens to you?
Right.
You gain weight.
Exactly.
And instead of solving the problem, we can get rid of diabetes about 4 or 6 weeks by following what I'm speaking about.
And you're teaching me pickleball, too.
Yeah, exactly. And instead, we have a very sick world. It's not just this county or the state or this country, a sick world because our leaders are not stepping up to bat. Here's your pill, here's your shot. And we are promoting disease. A Dr. Lustig, you can catch him on YouTube too. He's on there almost all the time. Look at his YouTube shows. But his information, he was a pediatric endocrinologist. He stopped his practice and now is internationally known. His YouTube shows, I try to watch them often. He wrote a book called Metabolic. It is brutal. It's like I wrote it. But I like confirmation. I recommend other people's work on books because I don't want you to hear it just from me. But read Metabolic by Robert Lustig. Look at his YouTube shows. He'll confirm everything that I said. I want you to get rid of diabetes, and I want you to get rid of it, Bill, because I want you to live to be 100 and tap dance like I do.
I'm going to beat you at pickleball. I'm going to beat him at his own game.
And I even gave you a lesson. I even gave you
yes, he did.
A lesson.
And my church is on board to put a pickleball court because of you.
And I will repeat your blood test in October, and I'll be standing next to you, and you better have much better figures or maybe even be normal. You can get rid of diabetes quickly, but I think you're going to have to switch to the 2 meals a day pretty quick, and you'll reverse this. But thank you all for listening. I do this because I care about you, Bill.
Thank you.
I do this because I care about you guys. I do a half-hour show on diabetes prevention, reversal every 2 weeks. You can go on YouTube and gain tremendous information and look at some of these books if you can. And I do it because I'm a doctor and I care about you. I love you. I love all people. See you next time.
Thank you, Dr. Rudy.
Thank you for being here, Bill.